predictive programming. Okay, do we know what that is? We're going to talk about is predictive programming something we should fear? Right? What is predictive programming? First of all, you know what it is?
You tell me what it is.
Okay.
I know what it is.
You explain then.
No, I want you. Ladies first.
Okay. Predictive programming is basically the act of inputting certain programming into certain areas of the media, like a TV show or a movie or even music. And basically, this type of programming is going to be reflected in reality, right? So I think about like past movies, like from the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, right? We would see like maybe futuristic type movies where they would implant a chip into their arm that could tell them all their information. They could go anywhere with this chip and it would pay their bills. They could shop for them and they don't have to show an ID or a debit card or anything like that. And throughout the years, we were seeing this more and more in movies and TV shows and the media. And we were getting used to it, right? But now it's being reflected in the real world where you actually have places like maybe in Switzerland, for example, where they are actually testing this type of technology out. But it's to the point where it's not a shock to our system when we see it because we've been seeing it for years. But now it's just simply reflected in reality. Because if they never inserted that predictive programming, it might be a shock. Like, oh my God, they're not going to stick anything in my arm. But if you lived in Switzerland and you've seen all these movies and TV shows from the past that inputted this type of programming, now you're seeing it in real life and you're probably like, oh, that's probably not that bad. I've seen it, in this way and in that way and in that way on TV. And even though it wasn't real, it felt real. And now this is real life, so it can't be that bad. So, okay, yeah, go ahead and put the chip in my arm. That's predictive programming. I had to give an example.
Oh yeah, you was very lengthy on that one, and I'm glad she was like an encyclopedia or something,
I just had to give an example.
Good
Okay.
job. Come on.
No.
Don't leave me hanging.
Anyway, but is predictive programming something we should fear though? Because I also think about the 9/11 attacks too, right? A lot of sources on YouTube, specifically YouTube creators, have put videos out there showing different TV shows and movies where those attacks were actually predicted. Because, for example, I think about like Johnny Bravo. Remember that show?
Yeah.
There's a scene in one of the episodes of Johnny Bravo where there's like a poster on the wall of a movie theater and it's two towers on fire. And they look like the Twin Towers on fire. This is seen also in The Simpsons. This is seen in lots of other kids' cartoons too, and cartoons in general, which is kind of weird now that I think about it. But yeah, and so people may see this type of programming, predictive programming, often enough, and they might start to think, should we start to take notice and should we start, really looking into what could happen in the future since we're seeing a lot of the same things now?
Would it even matter? I mean, I think even if people had that knowledge what would they even do with it? If
Right.
a lot of times people ain't finna do nothing with it, like, okay, I'm going to create a book club or something and, talk about it, and then nothing else, happens. It makes me think of what Kendrick Lamar was saying in his song back in the day. I forgot the name of it, but it was basically saying that we're going to basically go back to our predictive programming. Like, hey, we're going to march in the streets, and then we're going to go back to like nothing else, never happened. And like he said a mouthful in that song or whatever.
What do you think he meant by all of it?
That
I know you got thoughts on it.
yeah, I do. I just don't think that there's no true leadership, and also that we're so distracted from each and everything that goes on. it's no way that we can actually focus on what's the root problem, or even trying to find a solution that we can team together on certain things that we can actually make happen. And so it's like, hey, we're going to get back to our regular programming.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they cloned Tyrone.
Yeah. That is that an example of predictive programming?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I can't remember the movie now. So yep, they were cloning people. So that in and of itself, the fact that they were putting them into different neighborhoods, yeah.
I mean, it's definitely was
Because we
predictable.
already started cloning animals.
Yeah, but what I want to hit on, it's not the physical cloning. It's more of the spiritual cloning because like everything is word and the spirit. Okay, so predictive programming maybe comes through a lot of the what they call not trap music. It's drill music. So okay, I'm talking about killing people, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
What does what does a lot of the kids want to be? They want to be rappers. They want to wear poosh shiesty masks. It's because they think it's cool, and it's a program thing. It's because hey, we got this one person. He's thriving. He's robbing. He's stealing, and he's killing people. And this man is he's successful. I got the money. I got the women. I got the car.
Yeah.
I got all of this.
So I want to emulate that, and that creates that predictive programming, because now kids are starting to emulate that. We see that a lot in clones. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, clones isn't just
spiritual clones. Yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, no.
Or psychological,
Yeah, exactly. All those, touching on all those. Yeah, I think we're seeing that a lot in Atlanta lately. A lot of I see a lot where it's like 12 and 13-year-old boys who are getting into stuff like this, right? And I think it's because a lot of the music has gotten so violent. That on top of, other factors, of course. But there really isn't anything uplifting or putting them on a path of righteousness directly in the media, right? I mean, they're either told they don't matter, or they're told that they need to get their money this way, or they're going to be broke for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, it does create that sort of predictive programming, because it starts off with just a song that you listen to over and over again, and now that's seeping into your spirit, and now you're emulating those actions. And maybe you're not even emulating those actions directly. Maybe you are gathering the feelings of what the artist felt when they were rapping that song or singing that song. Maybe you're absorbing those feelings, and now you're emulating those feelings, and now you're wondering why you're angry all the time, or you're wondering why you don't like people anymore, or you're wondering why you're feeling this way or feeling that way. It's because what have you been putting into your spirit lately? What have you been absorbing? And the word talks about that too, right? And so it goes deeper into a lot of the things that happen in modern media, because now we're talking about what people get out of it, right? We're talking about the results, the outcomes of what people become because of modern media.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I want to specifically talk about that latest movie that everyone's been talking about.
What movie?
Leave the World Behind.
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
Already.
The Obamas did their thing on that one.
Nah, we gotta ask ourselves why that's predictive programming right there. Because why did the Obamas produce that?
Yeah.
Are they trying to tell us something? If you haven't seen Leave the World Behind, it's basically a movie about there are general and specific world events going on that indicate that it might be some type of war beginning or the end of the world beginning. And it's very unclear about what's happening in the world, but we're following one family that is experiencing these things. At the same time, all technology has now been shut off, so now they can't rely on any outside sources to get an understanding of what's going on. So now there's there's fear taking place there because now you're like, oh my God, what's happening? I can't use my phone. I can't use a radio. I can't watch the news on TV to know what's happening. What's going on? And so I think a lot of people didn't like the movie because they also didn't know what was going on. But I think that was the whole point, to not know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's scary in and of itself. And I even talked to you when we were watching it. I was like, yeah, because I think you were traveling at the time. And I was like, yeah, because like if everything shut off right now and no transportation is working, no phones are working, no internet, nothing, I would be freaked out.
Yeah, and a lot of people will be lost. You know, a lot of times I know for myself, I can do a better job on reading like an atlas or like a map, so I could.
I almost bought a few maps on Amazon after I watched the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, people, if y'all didn't know, she's like a doomsday prepper.
I am. I wrote a whole list down.
Just kind of.
I wrote a whole list down of items that I might need in that case because I was like, I don't want to be caught slipping.
Yeah, she's kind of.
I wrote down maps as one of them.
She's kind of peculiar.
We are a peculiar people.
Yeah, you know, she's peculiar in a good way. She likes to stay prepared, but yeah, leave the world behind.
Yeah, no, it's one of those movies where you can take from it what you want to take out of it. The thing I took out of it was something that can really go back to that predictive programming aspect, which is the 3-step plan to topple a government from within. That was scary.
Yes.
Because it's true, right? I'm gonna go through that 3-step plan.
I think we might already be in it, but we can say that.
No, we're not, because we still can work our phones. We're literally using a camera right now. Planes are still working. Cars are working. Like, we good now.
Yeah. Who says that we're not in the first phase?
But we're not, and I'm about to tell you why. Because that's the first.
Okay, well, I guess I don't know.
No, I'm saying because that's literally the first step. Step 1 is isolation. Disable all communication and transportation. Make the targets as deaf, dumb, and paralyzed as possible. We're not that right now.
You don't think that we deaf, dumb, and paralyzed?
Well, what I'm saying is we can physically move wherever we want to go. We can look on our phones right now and Google what's going on. We have access. That's the point of it, which is access. But if you cut off the access, you increase the isolation.
I understand all of that. But what I'm saying is that someone else controls this access. And so...
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, if someone else controls it, we're at their mercy. And so I might be a conspiracy theorist to a certain degree, but I feel like we might already be in it. And I think that this movie was really trying to tell us.
What are some examples of why you think we're in it right now?
I think that we are deaf, dumb, and blind. I think is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Paralyzed,
paralyzed.
But yeah, same thing.
This is the umbilical cord to everything. Like if someone hacks into this phone, many of us, our lives are over because we don't value like gold, silver, fresh produce.
Which you need to buy more of. Buy some gold and silver and precious metals.
Yeah, I will say Miracle did put me on that. I thought she was a little weird, a little crazy when I first met. She was like, yes, I just bought a block of silver. I'm like, man,
I sure did.
I was like, this girl kind of different. I was like, I'm gonna try to, I might keep her around for a little bit. I want to see where this goes. See me, I'm gonna think. I wasn't thinking for right then. I just thought she was a little different. I was like, you know what? She, I don't know if she on the spectrum or not, but
you can't say
yeah, but yeah.
You can't say that.
I can't.
Okay.
I can say spectrum. I mean,
that's politically correct. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, if I can say I identify as a camera right now, and I'm just
oh my
so
God. You are ridiculous. Alan, I'm not gonna play with you.
I think I was out somewhere, and then I I was out at Wendy's
You
one
got
day.
our producers laughing at you.
I know, right? I was out at Wendy's one day, and then I mean, you know, my money was low as far as my budget.
So you what?
I identified as a kid to get a kids meal because they
I
was like,
completely
yeah,
understand.
yeah. They was
I
like,
completely
sir, you not
understand.
a. But I identify as a kid. I mean, it was like, sir, you were being unreasonable. I was like, really? You're going to say?
They really can't tell you you're not a kid though.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't agree with
you know,
that.
yeah.
You're supposed to provide first.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. Right. That sounds discrimination. Like that sounds like discrimination for me if they need you to provide some kind of
Exactly.
birth certificate. So I agree. But no, I think we're actually in a pre-phase right now.
Okay.
Not step one. Because I would say what they're doing right now is making us dependent on these things.
Like electric cars, self-driving cars, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly. Our phones, everything. Because the moment they take it all away, now we are absolutely deaf, blind, and paralyzed, or whatever I said, right? Whereas maybe like 50 years ago, the people probably would have been okay because all they had was maybe TV and really early cell phones, right? And so it's like, well, okay, if I don't have it, like, I think I'll be good. We know enough about the world and how to get around to not freak out completely. But because we're so dependent on these things and we don't learn any alternatives, it's kind of like, oh my God, what do we do? I don't know what to do. So yeah, I'm gonna go on to step two. Step two is synchronized chaos. Terrorize them with misinformation and covert attacks, overwhelming their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists and their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people will start turning on each other. If done successfully, the third stage will happen on its own.
I mean, in the Middle East, in the United States, you don't think that we are, you know, focusing on the, you know, wrong thing. We're so focused on people's pronouns and stuff that we not even noticing that we got I forgot who it was, but they're over there just getting ready. They were like, oh yeah, y'all keep, you know, doing that, you know, stupid stuff, and you know.
I know.
Hey, it's don't think that this stuff isn't like, I would say that whether other countries isn't watching, even the United States self implode. I mean, to me, it's becoming like the
Absolutely.
Roman Empire.
Yes. People,
The quickest way to
people-
destruction is self-destruction.
Yeah.
And, you know, because when a country or a government, which this all ties into, you know, kingdom, and you know, and when I say kingdom, I'm talking about God's kingdom on earth, blah blah blah. But this shows that, hey, if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing, and then thus we have all of this, you know, all of these, you know, issues, all of this stuff that probably doesn't matter at the end of the day, you know. Of course, I don't have all the answers to the world's, you know, issues, but we do have a savior that does, because he has created this, you know, earth, and you know, he gave us dominion. That's a gift.
That's an excellent gift that we take for granted. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because some of the examples of like the synchronized chaos that was in the movie, do you remember the random, it was like pitchy sounds that would cover like the entire region, and it was like hurting people's ears, right? It was that. It was the random flyers with like the North Korean symbols on it and things like that. And it really confused a lot of people because those same flyers dropped in another state and they had Middle Eastern symbols on them.
Exactly.
And so that's what it means by synchronized chaos. You're confusing the people on the inside who already don't have access. And now, who do you trust, right? Because you don't know who the enemy is. And now someone could come to you and want to kill you for your resources, which is a scary thought.
Yeah, you're creating enemies within yourself. Like, so you're gonna that's going to produce anxiety. It's going to produce, like, hey, survival of the fittest finna keep in instead of let me be Christ-like, because all of that's going to go out the window for a lot of people. Like, hey, hey, we got to eat, so let me go ahead and take you out, so I can get your resources and stuff like that. And then just think about the reason why I feel like I will agree with you as far as just on the preface, because as y'all see, I changed my opinion. She has kind of influenced me a little bit. We might be in the preface, or might be in it, but just think about it on how the world has created like a culture, a worldwide culture of black against white.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about just, hey, European or Anglo-Saxon people. I'm just talking about fair skin against, dark skin. And that is a issue within itself. It's like, look, we're people. Hey, human race, like you said on like another podcast. Like, hey, we're one race. We are a human race.
Exactly.
But if you have allowed the world to basically, and we all have, we just got to get back to the basics. We have allowed the world to create their philosophy on, us and patterns and everything. So
Right. Agreed. Should I go on to the third stage now?
you can.
Yeah. So step 3 is scary because it's simple, right? Step 3 is a coup d'etat.
Akuma Matata.
No, a coup
Okay.
or civil war. That's it.
Civil War.
Civil war. A coup is a French word meaning the violent overthrow of an existing government by a small group. And I thought that was interesting that the guy in the movie, as he was explaining the 3-step process, he said a coup or a civil war, but a coup doesn't mean civil war. It means that violent overthrow of a government by that group, right? What he was basically indicating is that we will be so distracted by the civil war that we caused with our fear that a coup will be happening right below our noses. We're going to be so busy fighting each other that the enemy is just going to swoop right in and take control of our government, resources, people, everything.
I have a random thought. So, I definitely still watch cartoons, and if any one of y'all listening to me, do y'all remember Samurai Jack? Wasn't the antagonist, was his name Aku?
Oh,
Wasn't it?
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're
Because
right.
he was, anytime that Samurai Jack was trying to get Aku, was always trying to overthrow or overcome him in some type of way.
Oh, you just did something.
I know.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I don't know where I was going to go with that, but it was a random thought. And
No, I think
yeah.
you're right. I think that was his name. Someone has to look it up. But yeah.
Shout out to that's like our American version of anime. I'm getting more into anime.
Anime is good TV. Yeah. It is. But the question comes back to, should we fear predictive programming? I don't think so. Because at the end of the day,
no, you should.
It goes back to Ephesians 6:12. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So we understand that me and you, we're not the enemy here.
Yep.
But those things that are coming from beyond our realm that enter as a spiritual force for the things that we're dealing with, that is what we're dealing with. That is where the warfare is. That's where the struggle is.
Yeah.
And so it that doesn't mean we should be fearful. It means we should be prepared.
Ooh.
And prepped for what that could mean and put on the armor of God. Exactly. So it's like, at the end of the day, we need to be prepped and ready for what it means to fight in this spiritual warfare that God already told us we'd be in as we live here on this earth, right?
And how we fight that, that is knowledge, learning more, digging and diving into the word more, and also being around people that are great spiritual leaders, and also have that, you know, background of not being perfect, but understanding that we should imitate and emulate the one that was perfect, and be able to use our resources in a way that we can give that glory back, because everything that we actually get and receive, we should give it all back to God. And that mindset in itself could, you know, heal a lot of things. Is because we think that we got to hoard things, and you don't have to, you know, hoard everything. Is because, hey, everything is fleeting with time and everything. And so, yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, this has already been predicted in the Word of God. We knew these things would come to pass and happen in the last days, which is why I want to look at Matthew 24, 6 through 13, right? And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines. What's that word? Pestilences and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many will be offended, will betray one another, and will hate one another. Then many false prophets will rise up and deceive many. And because lawlessness will abound, the love of many will grow cold. But he who endures to the end shall be saved.
Ooh, that's some heat. Like, you don't even. I'm not gonna say you don't even gotta expound on that, but this makes me think of something that I learned at church. And church is definitely important, no matter how crazy things are at some of the, you know, mega churches or whatever. I learned about what it was, glancing and gazing. So a lot of times when it comes to us learning more about God so we can develop, we glance at the things that we should gaze at. And, you know, gazing is actually, of course, there is a big difference between glancing and gazing. Glancing is just simply looking at something and then not actually surveying. But with gazing, you're actually surveying, and that means that you're paying attention to the whole ecosystem. You're actually developing like a likeness, you know, for it, and you're immersing yourself. You're investing is the word that I'm looking for. When you invest in something, that means that you care about it, and there's something that, you know, God has truly done for us. We just have to end up tapping into a place that can not just feed us, but we feed it as well. Because a lot of times, just even in me saying this, I had to correct myself before I even said it. I was going to say, yeah, basically what I did say, like, feed us. That in itself, a lot of times when people go and learn or even reading the word that was, you know, on the screen, is, well, how is it going to help me? No, what are you going to bring into it so you can push forward the kingdom? And so in that mindset, like, I've been taught a philosophy that that was like, hey, when you're going to church as a event instead of being the church. This is a temple. You know, yes, this is a physical body, but within that physical body, there is a spirit, there is a purpose, there is a lot of things. And so you're going to learn that as you know, grow and everything. I didn't even know that. I'm like, man, you know, I'm actually, I can truly say personally that I've gained the fire back that I had in college for God's kingdom. And there's something that I haven't had in a while.
Yeah.
And so I know that it's a feeling, but it's also more than just a feeling. It's a lifestyle that I was like, hey, I want other people to feel this. Is because
Yeah.
once you get it, you're like, oh God, so this is what you want from us. You know, like we've been looking at it all wrong. We've been battling against each other. Oh, my black and white brother, my, you know, or my Latina sister, and you know, this group against this group. And man, it will open up your eyes.
It really will. And it's like once we know what the actual battle is, like it says in Ephesians and in Matthew, we can be prepared for it and we can armor ourselves with the things that we need in order to fight the good fight, right? But that means we have to be aware of what's going on by getting into our word and studying these things. But we're getting to a point in the world where it looks like we're actually becoming desensitized to sin and all the works of Satan in general. But we're going to discuss that when we come back.
All right.
Like without rhythm.